Hello, my name is Shafi Munir, and before this interview, I just wanted to take a few seconds to personally thank the California Northstate Pre-Medical Post-Bac Admissions Committee. This is an amazing opportunity, and I'm very grateful to have been granted this interview. I'll begin this interview by answering the required questions in order. During my undergraduate years, a challenge that I faced and eventually overcame involved finding my passion for medicine. A while back, I read this article that described two types of people that are both trying to reach their goals. One type of person was described as having this trait called grit, and this other type of person didn't have this trait. In this article, grit was defined as this intense passion and mixed in with this perseverance, this constant perseverance towards this long-term goal that mattered to them. As a naive freshman in college, I became somewhat of a robot. I'd wake up in the morning, go to my chemistry class or my biology class, and then I'd go to the library, and then I'd go back home at the end of the night. And with a schedule with such little variation, I think I began to feel the serious effects of this repetition. And one of these effects included the loss of my motivation. I just felt like I was ticking off all of these boxes on a long, what seemed to be never-ending checklist. So to quickly get out of this mindset, I began to take full advantage of all of my resources, both on campus and off. I began to sit down with my professors and discuss with them their research and what obstacles they had to overcome in their undergraduate years to finally form their passion. At the same time, I had the great pleasure of volunteering with Doctors Without Walls, which exposed me to doctors, nurses, PAs, and even my own peers who had just been accepted into medical school. Throughout my discussions with my professors and this medical staff, I began to realize what I needed to do and what I needed to have to be more successful. I needed those two components of grit, passion and perseverance. And not only did I have to understand how they complement each other, but I also needed to understand how to implement both of those things into my own life. In addition, I learned to always seek advice and guidance from those who are more experienced. I kept myself away from that know-it-all attitude because in reality, I didn't know much. I still have a lot to learn, but with this new mentality of constant inquisition and this thirst to learn mixed in with all of that grit, I think it's all come together to form someone with a true passion. I'll now begin to answer the second required question. Since my early years in high school, carrying over to my undergraduate years, I've received a lot of advice from various mentors. My mom, the single mother with the weight of the world on her shoulders, or my professors and teachers who knew exactly what I was going through at the time. I've always been the one to seek more effective ways to become well-rounded, and one of these ways included this attainment of perfect balance between X and Y, between academics and extracurriculars. Specifically, I've learned to never take on more than I can handle. If I can allocate appropriate time and energy as well as efficient time management skills, I've proven time again that I'll complete the objective with little to no mistakes. I'm an efficient worker and I believe in timetables and schedules. These tools help me to complete each of my tasks without falling behind, but when things do get a little bit overwhelming, I've learned to react with positivity and perseverance rather than negativity and reluctance. The life of any health professional is known to get quite hectic at times. To learn to balance now to perfect the process later will be my key to success. Now moving on to the different extracurricular activities that I've been involved in. For a whole school year now, I've been actively participating in the Families and Stress Lab, which is headed by a clinical psychology professor. In this lab, I worked with 3 other research assistants, and we were each assigned a different recruitment project. Each of these projects was aimed to point out the effects of the media's portrayal of natural disasters on the general public. Through this, I got the chance to talk to men, women, and even children about the massive wildfires that spread through Santa Barbara County last winter. It was truly a humbling and beautiful experience as I got the chance to talk to all of these families who all painted a picture in which they had to detach themselves from this materialistic attitude and instead rely on each other to get through a difficult time. I learned to value all of my relationships more than anything. Similarly, for about 8 to 9 months, I volunteered with the Doctors Without Walls organization, which dedicates itself to providing medical attention to the city's homeless. And working alongside the homeless, I realized that being helpful and being giving is worth more than any tangible luxury. And through both of these experiences, I learned that my community is very supportive and doesn't make anyone feel forgotten or left behind. Community efforts brings food and shelter and medical attention to the homeless year round. And those same efforts brought food and shelter to the victims of the wildfires. In all, this community really showed me what camaraderie looks like. From the optional questions, I chose number 7. Growing up, I had a best friend who I'd go to school with, play soccer with, go back home with, literally anything and everything. He had a physical deformity on his face, but unfortunately, a lot of my peers didn't see what I saw. And so he was constantly bullied and harassed. And one day, the bullying went too far, and they beat him so badly that he ended up dying. And that memory is exactly what led me to be most interested in plastic surgery. And as I started to witness these surgeons change people's lives, I found in love. I found in love with the idea that I'd one day be able to prevent nonsensical tragedies. And along with being able to save lives and better them, I also want to serve as an advocate for my patients. I still want to instill in them a sense of security so that they can better and healthier function in this society that's filled with hatred and rejection. And I'd now like to once again thank the admissions committee for this wonderful opportunity and interview. Thank you so much.